This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
World Bank reveals PNG's economy recovery. More employment opportunities through SME sector. And Samaritan Aviation serves 13 years in East Sepik Province. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. The World Bank's latest economic update for Papua New Guinea has found that Papua New Guinea's economy has recovered above its pre-pandemic GDP, with high commodity prices and the removal of COVID-19 restrictions, accelerating economic growth to 4.5% for 2022.
The World Bank Papua New Guinea Economic Update reports that PNG's fiscal deficit is estimated to have narrowed to 5.4% of GDP in 2022, compared to 6.8% in 2021. This reflects the Papua New Guinea government's continued fiscal consolidation and work to safeguard macroeconomic stability. The Economic Update recommends that the country continues on implementing its plan to reduce the budget deficit.
It's important because the interest expenditure, the expenditure on servicing this debt are very high in PNG, and they're high because the level of debt is higher. Yeah. So this slide here shows what was the average spending on health and education in percent of total spending over the last 5 years, and interest expenditure on servicing the existing debt. And actually, over the last 5 years, the interest expenditure has been higher than both. Health and education. So by continuing with fiscal consolidation, by reducing the stock of debt, the interest expenditure will gradually go down.
The new report says that economic growth is expected to slow to 3.7% in 2023 due to lower global demand and supply constraints. It suggests that medium-term plans for fiscal consolidation could become more challenging. On the other hand, PNG's needs for human capital, education, health and social protection and infrastructure spending are substantial. Resource revenue boosts from commodity prices in the coming years are unlikely.
So what has been happening with consumer inflation? There was a marginal pickup in inflation over the last couple of years. As you can see on this chart, however, is that the increase of inflation in PNG has been much smaller than in its structural peers. And its structural peers in this case are other countries that depend on the resource sector.
The World Bank report, subtitled Unlocking the Economic Benefits of Gender Equality, also makes a clear economic case for faster action on gender equality in PNG. The report says that bridging the substantial difference between men and women participation is better. More productive paid employment could raise GDP per capita by an additional 20% in the space of a generation.
Women are currently underrepresented in the industrial sector, overrepresented in the service sector. This is very often in retail, on-account workers, which is considered less secure forms of employment.
The new report highlights that the potentially significant economic gains to be made in PNG through efforts to address gender inequality, including improvements in overall family incomes, more substantial education and training, and increased economic productivity. The report recommends a review of PNG's Employment Act, including the removal of discriminatory employment clauses, strengthened enforcement of the Family Protection Act, genuine implementation of the national strategy to prevent and respond to gender-based violence, and the expansion of programs that support women's employment through targeted outreach, upskilling, and access to women's employment networks. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
The Department of Commerce and Industry has presented a check of 40 million kina to the National Development Bank to fund SME grants for locals in the country. Acting Minister for Commerce and Industry, Soroy Eoe, presented the check to the State Enterprises Minister William Duma, who received on behalf of NDB today at the Hilton Hotel in Port Moresby.
The 40 million kina is for the 2022 allocation for the continuation of the government's Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Grant Facility with the National Development Bank. Acting Minister for Commerce and Industry and member for Kikori, Soroi Ewe, said this is the government's initiative to invest in SME sector and agriculture.
Again, this is a fulfillment of our promise to our people and to ensuring that both our partner banks continue to lend to our people, enabling our SMEs to grow. We're happy to see that the lives and aspirations of many Papua New Guinean businessmen and women have been positively impacted.
Minister Iwe said so far, MSME and SME benefited from the grant which was rolled out by both NDB and BSP since 2019.
It is therefore pleasing to note from the beneficiary survey conducted by Department of Commerce and Industry that this program is indeed most attractive and cheapest loan financing at any given time in this region.
Minister for State Enterprises William Duma commended NDB for properly managing and disbursing a total of 80 million kina that was given to them in 2020 and believes that they can do the same for the 40 million kina given to them.
From the records of NDB, and you heard our minister tell us that more than 2,000 people have benefited from, or 3,000 people have benefited from, or 3,000 businesses have benefited from this scheme. We don't have the data from our Bank of South Pacific, but from the data that is kept by the NDB, more than 700 SMEs have benefited and have drawn down from the 80 million that was allocated to the NDB.
Minister Duma added that NDB will continue to be the government's vehicle to roll out its policies, including the SME grant for the benefit of every Papua New Guinean. In 2019, the government allocated a total of 200 million kina towards the SME sector to assist locals between 2019 to 2024. A total of 80 million kina was allocated to NDB, which assisted more than 700 SMEs around the country. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the acting Minister for Commerce and Industry, Soroi Ewe, said the SME sector has the potential to create more jobs to people. He said this during the presentation of a 40 million kina check to the National Development Bank for SME grants today.
I think
Minister Ewe said with the government investing in the micro, small, medium enterprises and the SME space, many SME have been successful and had created jobs for people.
Our vision in the beginning was to grow our economy by supporting MSMEs and agriculture sector, which in turn would help to create jobs for our unemployed youths, women, and those living in our tertiary institutions as well as training institutions.
He added that SMEs contribute to the country's economy.
As a responsible government, we are planning to expand additional micro banks and financial institutions to providing access to finance for our MSMEs at the lower end of the market chain, to include majority of our people. This includes our corporate societies, where majority of our people in rural areas can mobilize their resources and partake in economic growth activity.
Minister Ewe said the government is committed in providing and creating more job opportunities for the citizens. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
8 Mineral Resources Authority staff comprising mining engineers and geologists has completed a month's training program on how to use the GeoVia SEPAC software. GeoVia SEPAC is the most widely used software system of its kind in the world. It supports open pit and underground mining and exploration projects in more than 120 countries.
The staff members who have been awarded certificates of completion are Miriam Kuma, Angela Bokuik, Polio Tailao, Stephen Samuel, Lloyd Singura, Boydie Akenale, and Shekina Pilamp. Specific areas of training included application of geostats to resource estimation using GeoVia SEPAC, mineral resource estimation using GeoVia SEPAC, drill hole data acquisition and quality assurances and quality control, and drill hole database management. The software enables mining practitioners to quantify and evaluate mineral deposits and to plan the efficient extraction of reserves. The software delivers efficiency and accuracy through ease of use, powerful 3D graphics, and workflow automation that can be aligned to company-specific processes and data flows. The Mineral Resource Authority's Acting Managing Director, Jerry Gary, when presenting the staff members with the certificates of completion, said the training had empowered his staff with skill sets that had been missing.
As a regulator, this critical part of skill sets have been missing. In fact, the tools that we also need to undertake independent resource geological modeling, ore body modeling, resource estimation, mine designs have been lacking in this institution.
Mr. Jerry went on to further add that the MRA regulates the largest industry in a country that is complex and comes with a lot of challenges. He said the PNG mining industry has different types of deposits and some of them are world-class deposits by any standard. He said to be the regulator of such an industry, the MRA had to have knowledge and skill sets that are above the industry that is regulated.
We are regulating, in fact, the largest industry in the country. That are very complex, comes with many challenges, but as you would all appreciate, we have different types of deposits, and some of them are world-class.
The MRA's reporting geologist Miriam Kuma, on behalf of the participants, thanked MRA for making the training program possible. She said they acquired the software initially without knowing how to use it, and according to the training they have received, this would allow them to properly and efficiently utilize the software. The training program was delivered by a Perth-based company, Deca Dynamics. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
The final list of shortlisted candidates for the recruitment drive for the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary will soon appear before the screening panels for final vetting. The final list of these shortlisted candidates nationwide stands at 13,039.
According to the Commissioner for Police, David Manning, screening panels will be held nationwide from April to June this year. After the screening process and final vetting of the 13,039 shortlisted applicants, 560 successful selected recruits will immediately commence training. According to a statement released from the Commissioner's office, the training program has been reviewed and modified so that these recruits are put through more rigorous instructions effective in the modern policing environment. Training for these new recruits will involve policing in new technology, community policing methods, and improved skills to deal with violent offenders. Commissioner Manning clarified in the statement that the final round of interviews will be the most stringent in the application process, more so to have confidence that the selected recruits are of high caliber, physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. The recruitment panels nationwide will go through thoroughly on the shortlisted applicants, with drug testing mandatory and not negotiable. The Constable and Cadet Officer training facilities at Bomana's National Center of Excellence will be enhanced in preparation for the new intakes, with the RPNGC looking at commissioning the Gusap and the Poroma Barracks as regional training centers in the coming years. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The Samaritan Aviation, a non-profit Christian organization, has served the population in the East Sepik province for 13 years now through emergency evacuation and delivery of medical supplies to remote aid posts with community outreach and health programs. The CEO and co-founder of Samaritan Aviation, Mark Palm, said Samaritan Aviation has delivered over 200,000 kilograms of medical supplies to local communities and have saved thousands of lives since 2010.
The CEO told EMTV News this morning that the dream to save the lives of people in the East Sepik province started when he first came to PNG in 1994. He saw the need in East Sepik, where there are people living along the Sepik River, and it takes days for them to reach a nearest health facility.
How can we bring a service that will change a 3-day trip to the hospital into a 1-hour flight? And that's really where the vision for Samaritan Aviation came from. And it was, how can we do that? And then how can we also serve the patients that we bring in the hospital? And so now for 13 years, we've been doing that, offering 7 days a week of live flights, emergency evacuation flights in the East Sepik province.
He says their vision started when they saw that people suffered from snake bites, mothers having trouble giving birth, and others suffering from different diseases. He stressed that they are helping people as a Christian organization.
We had told people for 10 years that if you will help us, we can bring a seaplane, we can reach these people in the remote communities, we can save lives, we can offer access and hope to people who don't have it.
Mr. Palm says they don't charge for the flights. It's a free service to the people in remote areas, and they need partners and NGOs to deliver these life-saving services. He says 40% of the funding comes from partners and government in PNG, while the rest 60% comes from USA donors.
You know, one of the things about our operations is we partner not only with the national government, the National Planning Department has given us funding, the provincial government gives us funding each year, and the PHA gives us funding in East Sepik. The members from Angoram and Ambunti also partner with us. And all of that comes out to about 40% of our operations, and so the rest of our funding is all supported by generous donors from the USA.
He stated that the government is behind them, and the first funding that they have received was from the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the CEO and co-founder of Samaritan Aviation, Mark Palm, said it is very difficult and expensive for them to get aircraft parts to continue in delivering the services. He also stressed that it takes a lot of training for the pilots to fly in such remote areas.
I'm flying out by Chambry Lakes and I get a text message from our satellite in the airplane.
Mr. Palm confirmed that they have made thousands of flights without any accidents, and they are blessed as the place they operate in is a very difficult area when it comes to its geographical location. He went on to highlight that it is very costly operating in such remote areas in delivering the much needed services.
You know, some of the major challenges that we have, it's hard to do maintenance, it's hard to get aircraft parts, it's very remote in New Guinea, it's very expensive as well, so our costs are high.
He also stated that they faced a lot of challenges, especially during flooding or when logs are floating down the river.
It's also, you're dealing with a lot of challenges on the river. You have the Sepik, for example. It's a very large river, up to 1,000 feet, 300 meters wide in a lot of areas, and that'll go down 20 feet in a week or two sometimes, depending on how much rain is coming. And so you're always dealing with changing waters, you're dealing with sandbars, you're dealing with logs floating down the river, fishing nets, people in canoes, and then you have the weather and crocodiles, all the other things that are in the river that you're dealing with. And so
he confirmed that Gulf Province is another area that they are looking at this year. The CEO says they have been working with the members and governor for Gulf Province to also partner between the hospitals to begin the operations this year. He believes that with the experience they can reach the remote areas of Gulf Province and deliver the much needed health services the province needs.
And our goal this year is to start expansion into the Gulf Province as well. And the Gulf is another area that is water, very remote, no access when the people have emergencies. And we've been working with the governor from Gulf, the members from Gulf, they're behind us 100%.
He adds that they believe in partnership, and through partnership, they have saved thousands of people and they will continue to serve the people. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
A total of 1,281 patients have successfully undergone open-heart operations in the country since its inception in 1993. This was revealed today by Chief Cardiac Surgeon during an update of the operations at the Kumul Petroleum National Heart Center.
Papua New Guinean doctors and nurses can now perform open-heart surgeries at the Port Moresby General Hospital. This was revealed today by the hospital's CEO, Dr. Paki Molumi, and his team of local specialist doctors. Just last week, a total of 5 open-heart operations were done, with patients steadily recovering. This recent operation, according to the coordinator of the surgical department, was primarily carried out by Papua New Guinean doctors and nurses, assisted by a 5-member expert team who left the country last week.
The current visit now is the smallest. There's 8 members, and we all did the operation ourselves. They were just assisting us.
In previous years, Open Heart International team conducted the whole procedure from screening a patient right through to operation and post-operation. However, this has changed with the support of Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited. A proud Dr. Molumi explains.
Previously, the visits was focused on providing service. That means we bring a lot of people in, they do the screening for us, they do the operation for us, they do the post-operative care for us. When the patients are okay and discharged, they go home. They go back to their country. They also bring their own equipments, the heart-lung machines.
A memorandum of agreement was signed between the hospital, National Department of Health and Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited, or KPHL, to establish a comprehensive cardiac program in the country with funding support of 50 million kina spread over 5 years, commencing in 2020. A very pleased managing director of KPHL gave full credit to the local doctors and nurses and staff of the country's premier hospital and gave assurance of KPHL's continued support.
I'm very pleased. I can't say so much. I'm only here to thank you guys for your efforts, thank the people that came, and also for future we will commit. The balance of the funds that we have committed are still there, so we will try and work on the human resource development.
With funding support from KPHL, the hospital's surgical department is well equipped with modern high-quality cardiac equipment, with over 2,000 patients being served at the Kumul Petroleum National Heart Center. This will now help alleviate Papua New Guineans seeking medical treatment from traveling overseas at extreme costs. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the Nest Fund market report. The kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.2765 $0.4106 Australian dollars, $0.2475 euro, and 36.23 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed higher, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Health facilities in Western Province, particularly Middle Fly and North Fly districts, are continuing to face shortage of medical supplies. This has affected the clinical services in rural areas and patients are not getting proper treatment.
Patients seeking medical assistance at the Kiunga District Hospital, the Catholic Mission Health Center, Rumgenai Rural Hospital, Nomad Health Center and Lake Mari are being advised that these facilities do not have necessary medical supplies to attend to them. According to health workers in these facilities, formal orders for new stock have already been done 6 months ago, and they are still waiting for their supplies to reach their facilities in the province. Some urgent supplies needed are glucose, painkillers, artemether injections, syringes, antibiotics, antimalarial, among others. Currently, patients are continuing to buy their own medicines at the private clinics and pharmacies in town for those who can afford, and for those who cannot afford to buy medicines are left without proper treatments. According to Western Provincial Health Authority, when contacted today regarding this matter, a representative mentioned that all procurement processes have already been done, but a delay is with packing and distribution from the area medical store here in Port Moresby. I was able to speak with the supply chain coordinator for Western Province, and here is what he had to say.
173 cartons, that's about a week ago. 65 cartons have reached Kiunga on Monday of this week, as confirmed by our pharmacists on the ground. Yep. With the Middle Fly, we haven't, the orders are still in process at the moment. The system with the AMS Department of Health is we process orders every 2 months. That's for the health centers, and for the hospital it's monthly, and it's the hospitals, they're classed in levels, level 4, 5, and 6. But for Kiunga, it's level 4. Daru, they get their orders on a monthly basis. Now for Balimo Hospital, lately they haven't gotten their drugs as yet. Kiunga, like I've mentioned, they've gotten 173 cartons, and Daru, we just ship out 84 cartons of drugs. That's for Daru Hospital, which will reach them in the next 4 to 5 days. Yep.
Jim John, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, all health facilities in Western Province are being reassured that their issues of drug shortages are noted, and the Western Provincial Health Authority is committed in delivering their supplies on time.
Supply chain coordinator from the area medical store in Port Moresby, Gabriel Atambui, explained to the people of Western Province the struggles and challenges they faced in the process of delivering medical supplies.
Western Province is a difficult province compared to other provinces in terms of geography, because it's like you're dealing with 3 to 4 different provinces. That's meant to say that you have 3 to 4 districts, but those districts, they become like a province within one province. So the difficulty in Western is getting the drugs from Port Moresby to the district, and that's to do with logistics. It's been a nightmare for us. So it's one thing to come and pick and pack and palletize the drugs. It's another thing to ship them out, which it's been a big struggle for us. The challenge for Western Provincial Health Authority is been not fly.
He says the Western Provincial Health Authority is doing its best to ensure medical supplies are delivered on time. The coordinator further says orders for Rumgenai Rural Hospital, located 28 kilometers along the Kyunga-Tabubil Highway, is being processed.
Rumgenai Hospital, the orders has been processed. Like I said, the main challenge here is
all 42 health facilities within the province are advised to submit their reports on time so that their request for new supplies can be processed and delivered accordingly. Jim John, National MTV News.
And moving to overseas news now, the White House has urged China not to overreact to a possible meeting between the House of Representatives Speaker and the President of Taiwan.
Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen is stopping over in New York en route to visit two of the few remaining countries that still diplomatically recognise her government, Guatemala and Belize. But it's very much the US stopovers that are regarded as the most important legs on this journey. Now, traditionally, Taiwanese presidents have made these trips to the US and have met American government officials, but so long as they're not too high up, Beijing grumbles about it, but really hasn't done much. But a lot has changed between this trip and the last time when Tsai Ing-wen made a US stopover, which was before the pandemic, about 3 or 4 years ago, particularly mid-last year when the then US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taipei. Beijing responded with Xi Jinping ordering missiles to be fired over and around the island. He unleashed fighter jets, bombers and warships to fly and sail closer to the island than ever before. This time, China's government has again pledged to take strong measures if Tsai Ing-wen meets senior US officials, in particular the new House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy. That meeting is widely expected to take place in Los Angeles in about a week's time when Tsai Ing-wen is on the way back. Prior to departing from Taiwan, she said she won't be intimidated by Chinese pressure.
King Charles has attended a state banquet in Berlin on the first day of his official visit to Germany.
White tie and tiaras for the state banquet. But don't be too dazzled by all the diamonds and decorations. The first state visit of King Charles's reign represents a serious mission set by the British government. The focus is Europe, the setting is Berlin, and the King's language initially was German.
Es ist wunderbar, heute Abend in so großer Gesellschaft zu sein.
Then, in English, this commitment.
Throughout the time that is granted to me as king, I will do all I can to strengthen the connections between us.
And this on Ukraine.
We stand side by side in protecting and advancing our shared democratic values. This is epitomized so clearly today as we stand together with Ukraine in defense of freedom and sovereignty in the face of unprovoked aggression.
The King had received the first full ceremonial welcome at the Brandenburg Gate for any state visitor. He inspected the Guard of Honour, standard fare for a state visit, but it's the subtext on these occasions that matters, and that is very clear.
State visits are all about the big picture, the core elements in the relationship between the host and the visiting nation. In this instance, of course, with the UK now outside the EU, it's all about the bonds, the links that remain.
It's about shared histories and shared values, friendship between two European nations.
I don't have to stand here too long.
It's a message which will be repeated when the King becomes the first British monarch to address the German Federal Parliament.
National MTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Telecom Limited has come on board as the official communications partner to the 46th annual game fishing tournament that will be staged in Ley Morbe province. Telecom's Northern Regional Manager Kevin Howard says Telecom is proud to be the official communications sponsor.
Kevin Howard says through this sponsorship, Telecom Limited will be giving each of the participants an Android tablet. He adds that Telecom Limited will also be supporting the control center at the Ley Yacht Club during the tournament. According to the manager, the tournament will be for 9 days. Registration closed on Tuesday this week, and the organizers are yet to release the total number of anglers who will be participating in this year's event. Natasha Ovoy, Trukai Sports.
The Capital Rugby Union Proper Season 2023 was officially launched last night in Port Moresby. The season is looking bright for the competition as they also witnessed the check presentations from two of their new sponsors, Pepsi and Moniplus respectively, that have come on board to sponsor this year's competition. Both sponsors presented a total of 150,000 kina, each totaling up to 300,000 kina.
Present at the occasion to witness the official launching and the sponsorship presentation were City Rugby Union Club representatives and its board of management, sponsors and others.
I guess taking on the greater responsibility of...
The night saw the Master of Ceremony, Efata Samuel, announcing the two new sponsors of the City Rugby Union before the official check handover takeover was made. Director of Pepsi, Ashlon Chu, during his address spoke on the benefits of promoting and supporting this cause and went on to mention that he was no stranger to the world of rugby union.
The talent here is just immense. You know, we have, if not the greatest athletes, I think, internationally in Papua New Guinea. Just raw talent here is unbelievable. And the goal has always been trying to put structures and platforms in place to be able to harness and nurture that talent. And we've always said it's just a matter of time. It's not an if, it's just a when we start to see Papua New Guineans on the international stage.
Marketing and branding head of Moniplus, Atish Des, also shared similar sentiments as to that of Director Chu.
Used to be at the club level. Now we are coming to the union level. That's a tradition for us. And rugby is one of the best games in this country. And I come from a country called India, where cricket is in our blood. And after coming to this country, rugby goes in my heart now. Trust.
After their speeches, the night witnessed the titled premieres of season 2022 for both the men's and the women's division, handing back the cups signifying the official opening of the 2023 season. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The newly registered franchise in the 2023 National Rugby League competition, the EMK Sepik Pride, will make their debut trial tomorrow, where they will have a face-off with the Central Dabaris at Bava Park in Port Moresby.
The pride of the Greater Sepik departed Port Moresby for East Sepik Province on the 15th of February this year, to where they camped and underwent most of their trainings and preparations on their home ground ahead of the season proper kickoff next month. Today witnessed their return at the Jackson's International Airport ahead of their debut preseason trial, where they take on the CPG Central Dabaris tomorrow at Bava Park at 2 p.m. Additional boost to their train-on squad with the inclusion of few former SPPNG Hunters players in the likes of Puara Wartovo Jr. and Watson Boas. The team looks forward to putting up a great show in their debut trial tomorrow. For the CPG-sponsored the Barry's Edge, the squad has reaped an exceptional win last weekend in their second friendly where they defeated the NCDC Port Moresby Vipers 26-0. As both teams have had their fair share of trainings and preparations since the beginning of the year, the trial fixture tomorrow should be expected to be a very competitive battle. Lisa Punichukai Sports.
Moving to overseas sports now, in tennis, Christopher Eubanks will face Daniil Medvedev in the quarterfinals of the Miami Open Tennis Championships.
In a match that was rain delayed and went for just over 2 hours, both sets went into tiebreakers, so the final score was obviously 7-6, 7-6. Eubanks, the American, was overcome by a flood of emotion after the match. Not only had he rallied from 2-6 down in the second set tiebreak, but the match puts him in position to crack the top 100 in the ATP rankings for the first time. That would be such a great achievement. Meanwhile, Medvedev made light work of Quinton Hallis, winning 6-4, 6-2.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, Port Moresby City, cloudy periods with brief afternoon showers and possible thunderstorms. Daru, brief showers. Kerema, cloudy periods with brief showers and possible thunderstorms. Alatau, partly cloudy with possible brief showers. Popondetta, partly cloudy. In Momase region, Lay City and Medang, mostly fine. Wewak, partly cloudy with possible evening showers. Vanimo, partly cloudy. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorms. Kavieng, cloudy with rain showers at times and thunderstorms. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy with rain at times and possible thunderstorms. Kimbe and Buka, cloudy periods with rain showers at times and possible thunderstorms. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, Gorka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with brief showers and possible thunderstorms. Mendi and Wabe, cloudy with some showers and thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Thursday, the 30th of March 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.